President Trump loves to bash the media.
Fake media, fake news.
One thing he loves even more, glowing media coverage.
And I have to say, Fox and Friends in the morning, they have the most honest morning show.
Outlets like Fox News, Breitbart, and The Drudge Report, they've been some of the most frequent suppliers of this type of coverage. They echo Trump's talking points, they give him cover in times of crisis, and they dutifully attack his critics. If the White House is waging a war on the mainstream media, think of them as the president's loyal foot soldiers.
All right, so the unelected fourth branch of government is now being aided and abetted by the Destroy Trump media.
Let's just consider a hypothetical scenario here. What if they turn on Trump? What happens if the pro-Trump media abandons Trump? First of all, we've actually already seen some cracks in the relationship between Trump and the outlets that defend him the most. Trump drew pushback from many on the right for his treatment of his own Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
Why is Sessions, of all people, being picked out?
The guy was with you from the very beginning, and he makes one big mistake.
I hear you.
Do you really dump him? And if you do, what signal do you send to everybody else on the team?
You know, in Jeff Sessions, we might have the key to understanding what a conservative media revolt against Trump would look like in real life. I mean, just consider Breitbart. They called Trump a hypocrite for his attacks on Sessions.
You know, when he was in the Senate, then Senator Jeff Sessions was one of the really very first prominent political figures to very publicly advocate for Breitbart, to talk about how Breitbart was a go-to news source for him. And certainly the coverage that Breitbart bestowed upon Sessions was fawning.
So in Jeff Sessions, you have one of Breitbart's sacred cows, a hero who appears to embody the principles they care about the most. And in a fight between Trump and Sessions, Breitbart might just be inclined to side with the Attorney General.
They would declare all-out war on behalf of Sessions. And I think that you would see a really hard push of content looking at the failures of the Trump administration on policy issues. They would be running stories that would say, where's the border wall? How many days has it been since this promise was made and hasn't been kept?
Of course, there's another person who could cause Breitbart to turn on Trump, Steve Bannon.
Well, I think there's no question that if Trump were to divorce himself from Steve Bannon and Steve were to leave the White House, then I really think it's open season against him, as far as Breitbart's concerned. And you have to believe that if he were to leave the White House, he would resume a very prominent role with the Breitbart, media world. That he doesn't do anything, half-heartedly. He does it bombastically, much like the president, deliberately and full force. And I think that's exactly what you would see from Breitbart if they were to turn on Trump.
Another place you might want to look? One of the most influential websites in conservative media, The Drudge Report.
The Drudge Report is sort of like an assignment editor for a lot of the right-leaning media.
If Drudge were to shift away from Trump, it could cause ripples throughout the conservative media landscape.
What would it take for Drudge to turn on Trump? I think there are a few issues that he looks at. He's really into immigration, so I think if the wall doesn't happen soon, he's going to be frustrated. But Drudge has also been a big opponent of Obamacare, and so if that's not overturned, that's probably going to raise a red flag. I think the issue that could break the camel's back in this case is if taxes are not done.
So look, Drudge and Breitbart, they obviously reach millions of people. But ultimately, what still moves the dial the most? Television. And in the conservative media universe, no star burns brighter than Fox News.
All right, they destroy Trump media, the Democrats, they're so over the moon.
This is Robert Leonard. He's an Iowa radio director who wrote an op-ed in the New York Times saying that only Fox News has the power to end Trump's presidency.
One of the things that a lot of media outlets don't get is that for my conservative friends here in rural Iowa, they think Trump is doing a great job.
Fox News broadcasts an alternative reality. They focus on Trump's accomplishments and downplay his failures. And without that, the White House would have a much tougher time trumpeting its successes.
When you're absent any type of accomplishment, you need allies to help run cover for you as to why that might be. Whether it's deflecting blame at the media, deflecting blame at your political opponents like Hillary Clinton, trying to label the Democrats as obstructionists. You lose that, and all of a sudden, everyone's pointing at you, blaming you. There's nobody there trying to help you.
Now look, Fox isn't just going to suddenly reinvent itself as a progressive network. But if the going gets tough for Trump, one thing you might see is Fox commentators subtly starting to promote other Republicans.
There's this strategy that I think that all they would have to do is start covering Trump, but then also start doing pieces on how presidential Pence looks. Look at this good guy, presidential, good Christian, has your values, and and put him up against what Trump is doing.
At some point, you got to have a platform to be able to communicate with the people, and if he loses all of that, he'll be talking just to himself.
At the twilight of his presidency, Lyndon Johnson was said to have remarked that if he lost Walter Cronkite, he lost Middle America. For Trump, the equation's a bit different. If he loses his base, he's probably lost Fox News.